Alright guys, today's goal, the learner will understand how to solve quadratic equations by completing the square. Okay, so let's first, before we start this problem, let's look at something. If you have x squared plus bx, you do b divided by 2 squared, and that equals x plus b divided, the quantity x plus b divided by 2 squared. Notice, there's no letter A there. It has to be 1. So when it's not 1, we'll deal with that. But okay, so if I do this, B is 8. So you say P squared plus 8P plus 8 divided by 2 squared. That's P squared plus 8P plus 4. Well, that equals x plus 4 squared. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Alright, complete the square. Z squared minus 20z. So you have z squared minus 20z plus, it's always plus there, 20 divided by 2 squared, which would be z squared minus 20z plus 100. And the reason I need to back up here, it's negative 20 divided by 2 squared. But what's negative 20 squared? 100. So now we have z squared. And see how it said plus b divided by 2 squared? Well, isn't that negative 10? So this would actually be z minus 10 squared. Okay, so here's the thing. The first problem, notice it said plus, you ended with plus. Second problem, see how it says minus, you end with minus. That happens every time. Okay, let's look at another example. Complete the square, x squared plus 12x. So see how it says plus here? That means it's going to be plus at the end. So you have x squared plus 12x plus 12 divided by 2 squared. X squared plus 12x plus 6 squared. X squared plus 12x plus 36. So this would be x plus 6 squared. Okay? Now comes fractions. Let's look at the next example. Complete the square. Y squared plus 4/3 y. Okay. We're good because A is still 1, but B is 4/3. Instead of think divide by 2, think multiply by a half, because that'll help you. So you have y squared plus 4/3 y plus 4/3 times 1/2 squared. So that's y squared plus 4/3 y plus, now you can do this, that's 1, that's 2, so this would be 2/3 squared, which is y squared plus 4/3 y plus 4/9. Now, see how right here, from here to here, this is what that b divided by 2 is, okay? So that's what goes in here. And we look up, it says plus, so we know we get plus. Nope, not 4/3. 2/3 squared. Okay. So there's the basics. Let's look to see what we're going to be doing with these. Okay, this says solve for x. X squared minus 8x minus 5 equals 0. Now, I usually think factor, but if on a test it says solve for x, you can solve it any way we've learned. But for today, we're going to solve everything by completing the square. Okay? Now, does anything multiply negative 5 and add to negative 8? No. So you can't do it by factoring. So what you need to do is get the x squared. You need to get this by itself. x squared plus bx. So I'm going to add the 5 over. So you have x squared minus 8x equals 5. Now, just think about completing the square here. You have x squared minus 8x plus negative 8 divided by 2 squared equals 5. See how I'm adding this value to the left side of my equation? Well, to keep it the same, I need to add it to the right side. So I'm adding it to both sides. And then I get x squared minus 8x minus 4. No, not 4. Well, 4 squared. Equals 5 plus negative 4 squared. So this is x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals 5 plus 16. Now this is going to be x minus 4 squared because it's b divided by 2, which is right here, equals 21. Now you square root both sides. This is what we were doing yesterday. Plus or minus square root of 21. Add the 4. You get x equals 4 plus or minus square root 21. You can't simplify the square root of 21 at all, so that would be it. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Okay, solve for x. X squared minus 4x equals negative 3. See, they already have that over there. So what I do, x squared minus 4x plus negative 4 divided by 2 squared equals negative 3 plus negative 4 divided by 2 squared. So this is x squared minus 4x plus negative 2 squared equals negative 3 plus negative 2 squared. So I have x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals negative 3 plus 4. Then this would be x minus 2 squared equals 1. Square root. X minus 2 equals plus or minus 1. So you get x minus 2 equals negative 1. X minus 2 equals positive 1. Add the 2. Add the 2. You get x equals 1, x equals 3. So again, this is solved by completing the square. If you need to, what I would recommend doing is pausing when we get to the next problem, try to do it on your own, and then check. Okay? Or if I'm going a little too fast for you to write, you can always pause it, catch up, pause it, catch up. So, alright, let's take a look at another one. Alright, so here we get a little interesting because it says solve for x and you have 4x squared plus 4x equals 3. Remember what I said? You have to have a be 1. So what you need to do is divide each piece by 4. It doesn't matter that b is 4. It's all what a is. A has to be 1, so because we need 4 divided by 4. So you get x squared plus x equals 3 over 4. Now complete the square. X squared plus x plus 1 divided by 2 squared equals 3/4 plus 1 divided by 2 squared. So this is x squared plus x plus 1/4 equals 3/4 plus 1/4. So this would be x plus 1/2 squared equals 1. Well, that's nice that we didn't have to square root the, we didn't have to do square root of a fraction here, so that's good. Square root both sides. So you have x plus 1/2 equals plus or minus 1. Okay. Subtract the 1/2. So you get negative 1/2 plus or minus 1, which is negative 1/2 minus 1, negative 1/2 plus 1. This one is 1/2. This one, change it to negative 2 over 2, you get negative 3 over 2. So there's our answers. Okay. Let's take a look at another one. Okay, this one, first thing we got to do, multiply it out. So you get x squared minus x plus 3x minus 3 equals 2. So you have x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 2. Now get rid of that 3. So you get x squared plus 2x equals 5. Now it's complete the square. So now we start x squared plus 2x plus 2 divided by 2 squared equals 5 plus 2 divided by 2 squared. So you get x squared plus 2x plus 1 squared equals 5 plus 1 squared. So x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 5 plus 1. So this would be the quantity x plus 1 squared equals 6. Square root x plus 1 equals plus or minus square root of 6. So x equals negative 1 plus or minus square root of 6. Alright, let's take a look at one more. Okay, so we got a couple things we got to do because I see that I have 4 and I see that I have the 256. So I'm going to get rid of the 256 first. So you get 4x squared minus 64x equals negative 192. Okay? Now we need to divide everything by 4. So you have x squared minus 16x equals negative 48. Now we need to complete the square. So you have x squared minus 16x plus negative 16 divided by 2 squared equals negative 48 plus negative 16 divided by 2 squared. X squared minus 16x plus negative 8 squared equals negative 48 plus negative 8 squared. So x squared minus 16x plus 64 equals negative 48 plus 64. So I have x minus 8 squared equals 16. Square root both sides. X minus 8 equals plus or minus 4. So you have x minus 8 equals negative 4. X minus 8 equals positive 4. So x equals 4 and x equals 12. So hopefully this helped, guys, and I will see you Monday.